Be sure to check out my Veve and Omi Investors group in the description down below. Together we build generational wealth and go over everything you need to be profitable in the Veve markets. Yo, what is going on, y'all? I'm Cavell Anderson, and we are back with another Veve and Ecomi video, man. In this video, we have something pretty interesting here. So if you're not following me on Twitter, I actually hosted a space the other day, and there was some interesting information coming from some pretty important people. So Frank Kozik actually popped up, and he shared a lot of insights when it comes down to working with Veve and in particular working with big brands such as Disney, since he does have business with a lot of these same companies. And while he can't speak on the specifics of what Veve has going on, he can speak from a perspective of what it's like to work with some of these bigger IP and allowing people to understand a little bit more some of the things that Veve is up against and how they're handling this stuff. Because you have so many people who are not really educated on certain things making such crazy claims about Veve and stuff like that. And then you have people working in the business who's actually taking part in these businesses, and they're just amazed at what Veve can accomplish. And that's how important education and understanding actually is, and actually researching. It's very, very important, because if you're not a business owner, you're not going to understand, like you're not going to think from perspective of, okay, this company over there easily handles millions of people. Why can't Veve easily handle millions of people? You're not thinking from it. If you've never ran a business before, you're not going to think of it as, okay, what if I set up a little restaurant only meant for 1,000 people and 100,000 people show up outside? Like, people you don't think like that. That's not a normal and regular way of thinking. So I think it's always good to get a little bit of extra perspective there. And also what's amazing here is Trevor showed up. Trevor, the former lead design manager, basically, of Veve. So the one who was responsible for helping all the NFTs come. And honestly, since he's left, everyone said the NFTs got a lot worse. So, I mean, yeah, like he's actually popped up as well and gave us a little bit more information, a little bit more insight into some of the things that he thinks the company is doing wrong. And it's great to see that he's still willing to speak to the community. Like, it's no bad blood. He still pops up in Veve related things. So you can tell that they didn't really end on that much of a negative note. So yeah, I was happy to see him there answering some questions, talking about Veve a little bit more. Now that he can say a little bit more from his opinions on certain things, because he doesn't work for Veve anymore. And also, that's basically what we're going to be checking out here. Some of the things that were said during that AMA. But be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications so you stay updated. And yeah, let's hop in here.
Right. I'd like to pitch in some more background information too. So, I do quite a bit in the other NFT world, and it's only like in the last couple of weeks that people are starting to demand that like teams are doxxed and stuff, because there's been so much fuckery, right? Now over at Veve, you may not even care, but I've known David since before any of this. I've done business with David for years in the physical collectible market. He builds a really successful line of retail stores. He's successful digital companies. The guy's got experience, and I know the team personally. And I'm telling you, you don't have to believe me, but they're the last people in the world that would ever set out to mislead or rug pull or do anything incorrect.
I mean, this is the type of stuff that should be pretty freaking obvious. I mean, you look at these people's resumes, look at who they're working with, look at the people willing to work with them. So basically, when people say, oh, this looks like a scam, this looks like a rug pull, they sold us investors on certain things, and stuff comes up, regulations comes up. This is an ever-changing industry, and instead of understanding that, people want to say everything is a scam or rug pull, as if every top brand in human history, all at the exact same time, would want to rug pull their customers with an unknown company like Veve. And this is like, when you really put it into perspective, the type of stuff that people are saying, because that's what people are saying. People are saying that, oh, Veve's incompetent, Veve can't do this, Veve can't do that. But the biggest companies in the world see things totally different, see things completely different. Instead of normal, regular people thinking, okay, if all these people so much farther and so much more accomplished in life is seeing one thing with this company, what is it that I'm missing? Let me talk to people who have that information and let me figure out how to upgrade my mindset. Instead of people doing that and really learning how to run it up and find this success, everyone would rather just go with the DV's a scam. Like, come on now. Come on. You gotta grow up and mature out of certain mindsets, man. Like certain mindsets and behavior is just weak. It's weak. You have to be willing to change who you used to be to become who you're meant to be. It's really that simple, man.
Ever set out to mislead or rug pull or do anything incorrect? One of the reasons it's taken so long because they're just not fumbling out whatever to rake in a bunch of cash right away and then take a walk like a lot of the NFT projects you talk about have.
And everybody says the fact that they're not on exchanges and stuff like that is not bullish. That's bearish and all that. For me, that's the most bullish thing that you know how easy it would be to get to pumping a token. Like, look at Dogecoin. Look at all these other tokens. Shiba Inu. Look at all this stuff that got to popping off because we were in the middle of a bull run. This company showed that even they had every opportunity in the world to run up a token in the middle of a bull run. Everybody knows that the Omi token would have exploded if they just threw us on a bunch of exchanges and stuff like that. But they said, no, not only are we not going to throw you all on a bunch of exchanges, we're going to completely ignore this token and focus on what's the best thing for this business to be around 30 years from now. That's the company that I invested into. So while people are looking at it from a short-term gain type of perspective where, oh, if I would have put my money here, I would have made so much more money for my money being invested there instead of being invested in the Omi token. People are looking at it from that perspective and not realizing that they're doing what's best for the long-term project. And this is what I mean by people not being educated and not taking the time to do proper research, because people are coming to the conclusion that this was going to be a short-term blow-up type of thing. And it never gave me that impression because I actually took the time to understand the project. And then these same people will argue all day long, I've been in the project this long, I know the project just as well as you do. Do you now? Because my time frame is 10 years while yours is 3. Are you sure we have the same level of understanding? This is why certain people are panicking when you have delays and the team says stuff like they don't know when they're going to put us on big exchanges, or they're unsure about buybacks and regulations and stuff like that. One of us have a plan that actually factors this stuff in, the other doesn't. So do you actually know the same things that I know? Like it leaves that question, because how long you plan on being in this investment says it all. If you think that Veve with its limited capital is going to be able to do things that no company has done in human history in 3 years, yet you're claiming you understand the project, I would have to disagree.
There's been a few exceptions. Some have done great, like the Bored Apes. Some are doing whatever, like Warps or Cool Cats or whatever you want to talk about. But then look at the tens of thousands of like rug pulls and failed NFT projects. All of them had equal heartbreak. So behind the scenes, you've got people that are, dude, these guys are working long weeks, okay? They spent years laying groundwork and getting rebuffed by all these licensors. You're crazy. What is this? We don't understand it. Now all of a sudden it's successful. They've got more IP asking them to be released than they know what to do with or even want to handle anymore. So, everybody should follow their own heart and their own strategy. But I'm telling you, like on a bigger picture thing, like you're dealing with, they might not be hardened professionals in the crypto MTL bullshit world because nobody really is. Okay. At the same time, they are 100% personally committed on a positive moral level to having the best possible company in the genre that they can,
and that's exactly how they're behaving. This is why I always see bullish, because they're behaving like they want the best company, not just a company that's going to come around, pump for a short term, and never be heard of again. People are so worried about the competition because they're doing everything so fast. Speed. Look at history. Look at how these fast companies that blow up super quick, they don't always have longevity. Most of the time, they don't have longevity because they didn't have a solid enough plan to take things slow. There was huge flaws that they didn't see early on because they didn't take their time. Like, people were crying so much about MTL. You realize if MTL would have been out when this situation happened, that could have crushed Veve and literally destroyed our entire investment. Yet everybody's been crying for MTL, not realized. And you have people who are saying stupid things like, oh, if MTL was here, that would have never happened. If MTL was here, your investment probably would have just went up in flames. But nah, people don't realize this. People aren't logical enough to understand what that means. That means a company who may not even have $8 million in the bank would have had to pay $8 million out of pocket. Yeah. And yeah, Alcon could have just come up and footed the bill or something, but would he? I mean, and should he? Is a better question. So, yeah, anyway.
They themselves are collectors. And I know this because I used to sell them my toys at Comic-Cons years and years ago when they would stand in line to buy shit from me. One reason why, like, I made a deal with them. You know, I'm not going to go. I've had a lot of projects thrown my way in the last year from the NFT world, right? I'm not out there doing like every fucking thing that comes along because most of them are full of shit. These guys are like not full of shit at a basic fundamental level. The people that own Veve and are doing the work, they're not full of shit, bro. And I don't know how you operate, but for me, in my life experience, that counts for a lot.
So Recur has cash out, Upland has cash out.
Yeah, so there was Frank's part. There was Frank's part. Obviously he said a bunch of amazing stuff, and that was very important and key. And I think that it is important to put things into perspective and understand what's happening here. And this is why all the business people and the successful people and whales are always impressed with Veve, while all the regular people are the ones complaining, because most of the stuff, it's not relatable to a regular person, which means that if you are just a regular person like me, I'm not a whale. I'm not one of the, I am included in the same, like, this is why I talk to people the way that I talk to people, because I know that I'm no different. The thing is, people take it the wrong way from me because they look at me as if I'm different. Like, no, I'm probably worse off than a lot of people in this community. Well, I probably started worse off than a lot of people in this community. The thing is, I'm not going to be surrounded by a bunch of millionaires and billionaires and stay the same broke ass me. Like, come on now. Like, what type of fool do you have to be in a community where you can talk to a new millionaire and billionaire every single day and you stay the same broke asshole that you've been your whole life? Like, what? Like, how? This is why mindset is so important. Like, who would choose to stay that way when you have an opportunity like this? It's not even just like the opportunity that Veve is bringing you. Do you realize who we have access to in this community, bro? It's ridiculous, man. Like, and you should be pursuing those type of relationships over sitting here trying to complain about stuff that don't actually matter, yo.
Top Shot has cash out, and they didn't take 2 years to do it.
Recur has cash out in the United States and has a hell of a lot less users.
It's so much easier for one country or two countries. Like, it's first America, then Canada.
Also, this is a principle, and I can't believe I'm jumping to this, but like, Recur's been working on this without announcing it for 2 years. I think this was the big mistake. One of the big mistakes that Veve made is the audience doesn't complain about things they don't know about, and they announced this thing and then promised it and then didn't deliver on it. If they just never talked about it, that's one thing they could have done to avoid this. So that was bad. So that's one thing they could have done. The other thing, realistically, is like, yes, if this takes 1 year or 2 years, there's other ways you can get to cash out without having it to be directly through the app. They moved to Immutable X, connected to Mintable. There's a lot of ways where you can get to supporting that. I think, at least that's my thinking on that. It's like
and Veve was seen. I dropped a video like a week ago, maybe. I don't know how long ago it's been, but I dropped a video where we saw Veve on Immutable X and we saw it on Mintable. I'm pretty sure we've seen this stuff is already in the works. We've seen stuff already in the works. So the fact that Trevor's coming out saying this stuff, I mean, we're seeing leaks of this type of stuff already.
Announcing it too soon before you know what it is, I think, is a bad move, especially if you're just doing it to like please the audience in the immediate term. I think the fact that it's more complicated than they knew is honestly to be expected, and that's kind of. But you can't really blame the community for getting upset about that.
I think you bang on there, Trevor, in the sense of I think actually, if anything, and the guys are brilliant, but I think that they're actually sometimes too honest and they maybe give too much information out.
Yeah, all the time. Actually, that's like even a joke from when I was working at Riot and like working on games. It's like you never overshare. You always want to undershare and leave the audience wanting more. Number one, it keeps people engaged, but also like anything you share suddenly becomes, and this is a really pejorative way of putting it, and I don't mean it like that, but it becomes ammo for the audience to either hype it up or make it better or turn it and throw it back at you. And so
I think that this is just new for them, honestly. I think that this is new. They're transparent people. They're used to talking to licensors and stuff, which means rolling out the full plan. Rolling out the full plan, letting people know what's happening, where they're going. I think that this is what they're used to doing. They're used to being able to be transparent and tell people what's in the works. And then if there's some type of setback, you're talking to people who will actually understand, like licensors. You're talking to licensors, millionaires, billionaires. Like, I don't think that they've ever had this type of connection with their audience. Because if you think back to David Hughes' businesses and stuff like that, a comic book store and you know, like a collector's store and things like that, like, you're not actually telling the audience what you're building out. Or you might say, oh, we're having this new addition added to the store or something. But that's not something that people are going to be crying about every single day, because realistically, your customer is not an investor. Because they're doing something at this scale with this type of potential, and it's attracting so many different types of people, they're still just learning just as much as any of us. It's like being a YouTuber. Like, if you've been a YouTuber for X amount of years and you've only ever got to like maybe 10,000 subs or something like that, it's going to be a whole different learning experience or learning process when you get your first 100,000, and when you continue to go up and get hundreds and hundreds of thousands, because it's tough criticisms when you have a few tens of thousands of subscribers. It's insane criticisms when you get to hundreds of thousands. So it's just an adjustment at every single level. So yeah, this is new for the team, and I always say that they should be more careful of the things that they say and reveal and stuff like that. But I also say that I do give the community some responsibility as well, because if the team is known for not being able to hit deadlines and sometimes getting overexcited and just sharing things that they shouldn't be sharing, you should be understanding, because this is your investment. Do you believe this team is really malicious? Because if you do, then you shouldn't be invested. It's like, why the team makes a mistake and everybody just wants to bash them and lecture them and let them know how horrible they are because they made a mistake and this is what the new people coming to VVC. So people don't realize it, but you see if you come to a new community and all you see is their own community shitting on them all the time, do you think that they're gonna stick around? People are saying that drops is the reason that new users are leaving. Do you see what the messages in some of these streams? Do you see the messages on Twitter and stuff like that? Anytime VV posts something, all you have is VV's fans talking credit. This is why they turned off the ability for people to comment. This is why they turned off the ability for people to comment on their posts, because that's all new people are going to see when they come to the project. It's its own community being toxic. Yet this is the same community who wants this project to go to the moon, right? But this community just can't think forward. Like, it's not forward thinking whatsoever. You don't realize that, yeah, people say that, oh, I'm just one person. No, you're not just one person, because when someone goes to the VV's tweet and reads underneath that, you're a collective. You're one of 1,000 people saying that VV is shit. So you being one person, no, you're one in a group of people saying the same thing, which is all negative, and it's not something that you really mean. You're just frustrated. But instead of controlling your frustrations, you flood your investment and ruin the growth of your own project. And you're part of the reason that it stays down. You're part of the reason that it doesn't get new growth and new investors. You're a part of the problem. But nobody wants to think that deep. No one wants to admit their own involvement in their investment not being where they want it to go. No one wants to talk about that.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but for weeks, maybe months, and certainly on some of the Facebook groups and Discord groups I'm in, people were banging on about, oh, why isn't the market closed till everyone gets the drop? Why isn't the market closed? Why isn't the market closed? Everyone was shouting on. And then, I don't know if you remember, but the Amazon servers went down a little while ago, and a lot of apps were out of action, and including Vivi's marketplace. And then you had all the other people then complaining because the marketplace wasn't open, and everyone got the deliveries, and everyone was bitching and moaning because the market, they couldn't get on to sell anything. So you can't ever keep everyone happy, unfortunately. And definitely, you know, it's one of these, I think Frank mentioned it earlier about the whole toxic social media. It's you can never please everyone, unfortunately. So I do feel for the guys, because they seem genuinely driven and passionate about the whole project and constantly getting all this bad FUD. And even though I'm mentioning obviously about the KYC, but as a whole, I'm very bullish on Veve, and I think it's a great project. And you've just got to look at the you know, Disney, you know, and these big brands, Coca-Cola, all these massive brands. This is not just a 10-minute flip and they're going to run off to the Maldives with the cash. This is a major project that's going to stand the test of time, as long as they don't get bought out by somebody.
Well, even if they do, no one's going to buy them out to shut it down. They're going to buy them out because they see the value and they think it could keep growing. Though that's happening.
yeah.
I'm telling you, that is not happening.
So basically what Trevor just confirmed is that Veve is not being bought out by anyone. And he's also said if Veve was to get bought out, they wouldn't buy it out to pick it apart. They'd buy it out because of how much potential it has. But Veve is not being bought out. So this was like, we got a lot of information here. We got a lot of information here from some amazing sources. Let me know what you all think in the comment section down below, man. I definitely think that there's a lot of value in just listening to the right people. And the right people are those closely affiliated to the company and those who actually take the time to understand. When you hear people talking negative and bearish, like so many people try to spin this stupid negative narrative that only like amateurs really fall for, that you have the YouTubers, the influencers and things like that. They spin the narrative that if you're not talking negative about your own investment, you don't actually care, because any real investor would care about the negatives. But I think only uneducated investors would see certain things as negative. So the majority of the things that people are crying about, all the YouTubers and stuff, we're actually competent. We know the answers to this stuff, so we're not concerned about this stuff. So while people start look at things like, oh, they never talk negative, they never talk this, they never talk that, you should start looking at all the people who only cry about things and only cry and talk negative all the time. Like, how are you this uneducated in investment? You made that bad of a decision that you got something negative to say every single day, and people are supposed to trust you. Like, I'm not following or trusting anyone who's crying all the damn time, because that means you made a badass investment and you had no idea what you was talking about from day one. You didn't know at all your damn self. So why would anybody be listening to you? But nah, that's not how people think in the community. People think like, oh, they're complaining all the time. I agree with that. Come on now, because it's easier, like when you see somebody like me who can rationalize everything that happens because I actually understand, like it's hard for you to be able to do the same thing. It's hard, you realize yourself, if you made a stupid investment, you made a mistake, if you weren't educated, you realize that yourself. So it's hard to handle somebody like me who actually took the time to learn. So, but people have to get out of that mentality, man. Everybody makes mistakes. This is the investment game. The reason that I got good enough to be where I am right now is because I fucked up so many times. I learned how to do it right. But the key thing is I learned how to do it right. I acknowledge the fact that I made mistakes and I learned how to do it right. So that being said, let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'm going to catch you all in the next one. Peace out, y'all.